From coast to coast and way downtown. From coast to coast and way downtown. From coast to coast and way downtown.
Welcome into a Wednesday edition of NBA Fast Break, or Betting Weekly Fast Break, I should say. I'm Doug Kezirian alongside professional bettor Chris Macero as we are on game day of these NBA Finals. That's what I was thinking of. And we've been discussing game three for a few days now. We had the extra travel day. We've had some good opinions from a couple professional handicappers. Chris joins us to complete the 3-day preview of game three. How are you, my friend?
I'm great. I'm excited. I've been missing some action. We had the hockey game, which was a blowout on Monday night. Only baseball yesterday. It's been raining up in the Northeast, so I'm super excited. It's finally a nice sunny day. I'm on Long Island at the moment, and I'm excited for this game. I just can't wait to just get after it. I'm looking to catch some live action maybe at some point today, and we'll see what happens. I'm just excited that we have a game, and it's a tie series, and people are selling Indiana short, but I think they can come back in the series. So, not come back, but just make it a competitive series. And I don't think the OKC predictions of winning in 5, which I thought was a pretty solid bet. I'm not sure that that's going to happen. So I'm excited. Hopefully, we had a competitive series and a great game tonight.
All right, so we'll get into all that. Just a reminder, we've been red hot so far in these NBA Finals. Wes Reynolds was on the show. He went 2-0 against the spread in game one. I'm 4-0 on props ATS in games 1 and 2. And we did well in the WNBA last night, 3-0 with some increased unit size for me. So we nailed that game we saw coming a mile away. So we're going to talk WNBA at the end of the show. Just a reminder to get involved in the newsletter. Tons of good information, Bet Rivers odds, links to all these shows and podcasts, and a buffet of breakdowns with soccer and tennis. We just had the French Open. Now we have grass court season as well. So Nigel and the team doing a great job with the newsletter, and also a show that released this morning, Betting Weekly Game Bet Match, which I just love that. Nigel and Sean, round 2 picks of the non-Grand Slam tournaments going on, but all tickets cash the same, as we like to say. So Chris, we're going to run through this sort of macro and then get into the micro. We'll start with the series price of these finals. Now that the Thunder got on the board, it's 1-1. So now it's a best of 5 series. Thunder minus 590, just even though Indy does in fact have home court advantage, at least starting game 2. So it's as of right now until the Thunder, if and when they win a road game. And any thoughts here on some value? You were just talking a second ago saying, hey, let's pump the brakes on saying this is going to be a breeze for OKC. Is there actual value here for Indy to come to win this series?
Well, if you think Indiana can win tonight, there's definitely value. And if you look at the past 3 games where OKC had to go on the road in game 3, hasn't been that easy for them. They were down 11 points in the first quarter in game 3 versus Memphis, eventually trailed by 29, came back to win that game, kind of a miracle comeback. They were up by 6 against Denver in game 3 of their series, but they played with their food that game, gave the game away, ended up losing in overtime, 113-104. And then if we go back to the Minnesota game 3 at Minnesota, they were down 20 in the first quarter. OKC was en route to a 42-point blowout. So, if you think Indiana has a chance in this game, which I kind of do, I would say there is a little bit of value. I'm not sure that Indiana can actually win the series, but if you think they can pull off the upset tonight, then you have something to play with moving forward, where you could come back with OKC, with obviously at a lot shorter number. I just think there's definitely some potential for an Indiana win just based on the track record we've seen in these playoffs, where they haven't covered one game on the road, 0-7 ATS so far. I'm sure everyone's talking about that. It's just, how can you possibly lay 5, 5.5, 6 points with OKC when they haven't covered one time on the road this playoffs?
Isn't that remarkable? What about the series spread? So maybe if you don't think they'll come back to plus 400, is a plus 1.5, like they just have to get 3 games in this series. Is plus 1.5 enough for you to get involved at plus money, plus 114?
Well, the thing what would make me a little hesitant about that is that OKC just really doesn't lose 2 games in a row. So even if Indiana got today's game, they're probably not going to get the next game, and they're probably not going to get the game after that, which would make it come down to a Game 6 series. Game 6 and the series on the line at Indiana, and they would need that win to to win that bet. So I think I would play just the percentages with the odds that you're in your favor tonight. You're getting a big plus money price. If you think Indiana can win the game, I would play them with plus the points and take a little sprinkle on that series price. If you don't think Indiana can win the game tonight, obviously you're not going to be playing that. If you think this series is wrapped up, but every single time in this playoffs, if you've seen it, it's like, oh, OKC's right of the ship. Now they're just going to steamroll right through. It just has not been the case. So tonight's going to be a big night. Indiana's at home. They're a good home team. I think they're going to try to push the pace a little bit more. I would think there's a little bit of value. I wouldn't go crazy and put like your 5-unit bet or anything on it. But if you think Indiana has a chance to win, I think that's a little bit of value on that series price.
Okay, good. All right. So we talked before the series started, all of us with different shows and things like that, with the player props for the series. And we all agreed that Halliburton to lead the series in assists didn't make a lot of sense at that price. It was just a ridiculous price. Well, now it's minus 230. And I see value there. And we have graphics of all this with the actual tally. So Halliburton's currently leading the finals in assists at 12. SGA and Jalen Williams are at 11. Jalen Williams was 50-1 to lead the series in assists before it. Now it's plus 1,200. I'm expecting a bounce back performance from Hallie. Now it could be more points and assists, but I think there's value at minus 230 at this juncture of the series. But I'm not quite ready to absolutely hammer it or anything like that. But I do think there's value given where the pricing was, and he has a 1 assist lead. And I think we're going to see some better scoring out of Indy.
I couldn't disagree with you at all there. I noticed some of these prices. I actually found a Jalen Williams currently. I see we're up here at plus 1,200. There's plus 2,000 out there. You could definitely shop that around. I mean, he's only one back. So we gave out earlier SGA plus 500. I also said if you want to do a little bit of a future parlay, that's what I like to do. You add like a team like Alabama for national championship. So say you don't want to give away your whole bet. You might want to say, hey, let's come back in with with Halliburton minus 200 or so. And here you put it with Alabama national championship. So, hey, if SGA or Halliburton come up as the leaders in assists in this series, you're going to have almost like a free bet to Alabama boosted for national championship. I would not be hesitant at all to sprinkle a little bit on Jalen Williams. I mean, SGA, one game, he only had 3 assists. So, Halliburton's had a consistent back-to-back 6, but he hasn't had that big game. Maybe it's tonight and he puts this away. But at 12-1, 15-1, 20-1, a guy who's only one back in assists, I can't hesitate to say, hey, that's definitely, we were talking about value on the series price. There's definitely some value with Jalen Williams, 20-1, when he's only 1 assist back in a series. We have seen him in this playoffs have monster games where he's done it all. So that's something to think about. But I mean, I would say, if you have your plus 500, you don't want to give it totally away. Maybe you take a little bit of a future parlay with Halliburton minus the 230, minus the 200, whatever you can find. But you put it with something else so you don't have to lay that big minus 230 price. You can turn it into a future parlay down the road with a little bit of a boost.
And yesterday we did talk about how sometimes there is value. Minus 230 shouldn't scare you off if you think it's a better than whatever, in this case, 70% chance, because that's what 230 roughly turns out to be, a 71% chance, something like that. So if you think there's better than that, there are scenarios where it's value at that price. Rebounds is interesting as well. Pascal Siakam, now your favorite, almost a co-favorite with Isaiah Hartenstein, after Holmgren was minus money coming into this series, and we all laughed and could not understand Holmgren being the favorite. And here are Siakam and Hartenstein, co-leaders, and Siakam is plus 130 and Hartenstein plus 175. Now, Hartenstein's not starting in this series after the first 2 games. It looks like that's not going to change. Playing about 22 minutes, give or take, but crashing the boards. I want no part of Hartenstein. I was on his over rebounds last game. Holmgren 4-1. I feel he'll get a few. He'll get 6 or 7. The question is, will Siakam? Any indication here in your eyes, Chris, about if there's anything worth playing here?
Well, we gave out earlier before the series started. We said, we thought Hartenstein at 450 was a great price, but he might not be the main answer for the. They might be going small. We also mentioned that. So, he's the leader now. But if you look at the minutes, disparity, Siakam's playing like 15 more minutes a game. So if you have that plus 450 on Hartenstein, you might want to go in with a little bit of Siakam right here. It's still plus money. You can find plus 130. I saw plus 145 this morning. You also might want to look at some of these longer shots down the board because, as you said, Chet is just not getting it done. And if OKC is going to go small, that might be more opportunities for smaller guards to maybe have a big game. Like we saw Nesmith had, for the Pacers had 12 rebounds in game one. I mean, that was just, out of nowhere. He comes back with only 4 in game 2. So who knows? Maybe SGA has a game where he grabs 12, or maybe Jalen Williams. You just don't know when these smaller lineups that they haven't used, most of the season. It's kind of crazy. But I would say if you were going to try to hedge a little bit, if you already have that Hartenstein ticket at plus 450, just due to the fact he's not playing that many minutes, and either Chet's not playing monster minutes either. So like I said, they're going a little bit smaller lineup, and you would say Siakam's been out there the most, 30, 35 plus minutes a game. I think Siakam's going to have a pretty big game tonight. So that'd be a little way to hedge on it. If you think, he's getting more playing time, he's going to have more rebounds than a guy that's only playing 17 minutes a game.
Right. So this juncture of the series, 2 games in, you have to factor in projections, right? We know that about futures. The Chiefs start out 3-2, they're still going to be the favorite or something like that, right? It's about how much time's left. In this case, you mentioned Nesmith. He's plus 700. He's 1 rebound behind the co-leaders, but he's playing more minutes than Hartenstein. Siakam's got the minutes advantage, and that's essentially why he's the favorite. Holmgren, you're right, is not. So the question is, can Nesmith have one more big game, or should you said, like maybe SGA is poised for a monster game, and at 18-1, he can shoot up this leaderboard, if you will. So it's not an elimination game. We're guaranteed to have at least 3 more games. So it's about projecting what's left and who could be one to sort of flip the leaderboard, if you will. So SGA maybe 18-1, Chris. That probably is a decent play at this point, just given how much he fills up the stat sheet.
Well, plus he's out there the most too. He's always
right.
He's in the game. I mean, he comes out, which is weird. He comes out for defense now, even though he's one of the best defensive players in the league. Comes out sometimes for defense in the fourth quarter. But he's out there the most. If you look at some of these minutes disparities, they're not. It's kind of shocking to see Hartenstein was one of the games he only played 17 minutes. So. How is he the favorite? He's not playing enough. I mean, they might not use him at all. He had what did he have? He had 8 and 4. I mean, 8 and 9. He only had 9 points. One game, it's game 2. He only had 3 points. So, I mean, and they don't really need him. I don't know if they really need him to rebound. I'm not really sure. The whole game was the whole game 1 just kind of got me off kilter on the series due to the fact that everyone was saying the Pacers were going to get out rebounded. They were going to get out this, out that, and they end up plus 16 on the boards in game 1. They out assisted them big time. Game 1, it wasn't even close. 24-13. That was the one stat that stuck out in my mind. I'm like, how can OKC only have 13 assists in game 1? That just didn't make sense. So you know what? Anything is up for grabs right now. I wouldn't, if I didn't have any bets on this, I wouldn't be firing in on Hartenstein. I just think the Siakam angle is probably a good one due to the fact he plays a lot of minutes. If you already have the Hartenstein bet, I wouldn't be firing in on Siakam either if I didn't have any action on this series. I would probably look for a longer shot because both teams have kind of been playing a little bit smaller.
Yeah, we did all like plus 450 for Hartenstein to lead the series in rebounds. That's when I also thought he was going to be starting and playing a few more minutes. Okay, let's get to the main event, the actual point spread of the game, because you have road favorite. You touched on OKC struggles in game 3 ATS in these playoffs, and this market 5.5 got to, I think there were some 6s, got down to 5 overnight. Now 5.5 at Bet Rivers, little juicier on the dog here. the home dog, 228. How are you approaching the side? Is it straight Pacers wager? Are you eyeing it? Where do you stand here?
As soon as the line opened up, I took 5 for a pretty sizable bet, and then I took 5.5 for more, and then I found a 6 minus 115, and I took more. I don't. Maybe I'm just going to be on the wrong side of the game. I don't think I am. Like I mentioned earlier, 0-7 ATS on the road in the playoffs for OKC. They've had trouble in game 3s in the first quarter, and 2 of the games were getting blown out in the first quarter. So, the one game they did have the lead on Denver, fine. But I'm looking at this game. I thought that was a little bit high of a spread. You're almost looking at 2 baskets. It's not a 3-point spread. It's not 3.5. It's not 4. It's not 4.5. It's 5. It's 2 baskets plus one of them being a 3. So, that seems like a lot for a team that's a really good home team. It's been good all year. They're one of the best teams, probably the second best team in the NBA since the break, Indiana. So I'm going to be looking, like I said, I already played those bets, 5, 5.5, 6. But I'm going to definitely be looking at OKC in game if there's an availability where I can get them at, say, a pick 'em or a plus a couple points. Because I think at the end they might come down and steal this one. They're due for one that they steal. They keep losing the close ones. Indiana keeps winning the close ones. I just feel like Indiana is going to jump out early on them, and I'm going to hope to grab plus the points or plus money on OKC in the live wagering. But I am on Indiana tonight at +5, +5.5, and +6 minus 115 for a little bit smaller bet. I just couldn't resist it.
Okay, so we'll make Pacers +5.5 an official play for you. What about the over/under of 228? Horrendous beat if you had the under, and in the last game because they scored 130 in the second half to sneak over that total of 228.5. Similar price here at 228. Any opinion on the total? We had Albert on the show yesterday discussing he thinks it's going to be higher paced. Indy's going to be able to score. And I agree, but I don't think OKC's offense is going to deliver much as often as we've seen at home. I actually lean under here. The more I think about it, I've waffled all week, but now I think under's the right side. What about you?
I won't have a play on the total, but if I was going to give an opinion, it would be team total of Indiana over. I could also see, like you mentioned, OKC's offense not as good as home, not as good as at home. But you also see they're not afraid to just kind of wave the white flag sometimes, or sit some guys out, or they have a deeper team where they can run a bunch of guys out there, and it doesn't look like they're waving the white flag. They're still playing guys that get a lot of minutes. They have such a deep second unit, but I can see them like, what? SGA is going to take it a little easy tonight. We're not going to go blow for blow with them and run up and down the court. We're just going to get ready for game 4 where we're going to win, and then we're going to win game 5. I could see that being a scenario. So I wouldn't be on the over. If you were going to have one lean, it would be Indiana team total over, because I think they are going to run. I think they are going to push the pace, and I think they could have some guys you might want to look at for some props. Because no one on the team, which is a crazy stat, in 2 games, no one on the Pacers has broken 20 points yet. They've had 7 guys in double figures both games, but no one's past the 20-point mark. So I think that might change tonight. We discussed that before in the Knicks series where, one of the two is going to go off. Is it going to be Siakam? Is it going to be Halliburton? I'm not sure if they can get to 25 like Siakam did that night, but I have a feeling both these guys are going to be over 20 tonight.
Okay. All right. Good breakdown. Yeah, I lean under. It's just a big number, man. With a team with a rated defense like OKC has, it's just a big number. Now, live ball turnovers and transition, they can get there. And Indy wants to push the pace and score before that vaunted Thunder half-court defense sets up. So I can see it. And obviously we've had, game 1 went under, but I don't have a play on the total. I've been waffling all week.
Well,
all right. Player props.
What's
that, Chris?
Let me say one other thing. So game 1, Indiana shot 46% from 3. They only had 111 points. Usually when they shoot 46 from 3, they're going to score 130. But the problem was all the turnovers. So I'm thinking, they didn't have their big shooting effort in game 2. Only shot 35% from the 3-point line. If they get another game where they're up in the 40%, which they've done multiple times in this playoffs, look out. They could score the 130. They could maybe get, maybe basically get the total themselves, and OKC doesn't have to get that much. I'm not sure what type of game. I'm not really sure what type of game it's going to be. I just think Indiana knows it has to push the pace. to have any chance to win. They got to make their threes at 40%. And if they do that, they're going to go way over their team total.
I've been saying all week that whoever loses game 3, I'm going to bet on game 4. But I do think the 5.5 is too many points. So I agree with you on the side. All over the place with the total. I lean under, but not really betting it or come close to betting it. But player props have caught our eye. There's a lot of options here, a lot of narratives with Halliburton only scoring 3 points in the first half of game 2, vowing to get back on track. I did give out a formal play on Monday at Hartenstein under 7.5, minus 129. 7.5 is now under minus 167, and 6.5 is minus 120. So basically beat that by a full point. I think just given Hartenstein and what he does on offense, running around, setting screens, looking to pass to cutters or dribble handoffs, I still like 6.5. But if you tailed, it was better to tail on Monday. It's 7.5, almost the exact same juice. But in terms of the bigger names and things like that, anything stand out for you? I mean, Halliburton's been a fascinating topic. Like, which version are we going to see tonight?
Like I said, I really think either Siakam or Halliburton or both of them are going to go off. One of them is going to go over 25 points. I'm not sure which one. I might do that similar thing where I play both of them at plus 20, 25 points or more, plus big money. I think I'm going to have them both. I don't like to do same game parlays in the same game with the same team because they really destroy you on, the odds. It's not even a fair fight. So a little advice to people. I mean, I know you want to do them, and it's just sometimes you put 4 things together and it's like, whoa, that should pay 25 to 1, but it only pays like 16. Anyways, I think Siakam and Halliburton are both going over 20 points tonight. And I think Halliburton probably has a breakout assist game just because he's only had 6 the first 2. So he's got 12. He's had those ones double figures. He had the one game where he had 14 assists. So, I kind of feel like he's ready. He's going to have a breakout game. Everyone was giving him a lot of grief on Sunday night, as was I. He had 3 points. And 5 points. Then he got a bunch of points in the fourth quarter. Not really doing too much. He just had a little good action and some pick and roll stuff. He's just got to get more involved early. He cannot. I know he just tries to make the right play and the right pass, but they need him. They need him to be more involved early. You can make the right pass a little bit later. He's got to be more involved early. I think tonight is going to be his night. NBA Finals at home. Wes Reynolds in attendance. What could go wrong?
Yeah, our very own Wes. We have reporters on the boots on the ground there. So Wes is either going tonight or Friday's game 4. We'll have him on the show from a hotel room on Friday.
Awesome.
And that's the kind of coverage we have on Betting Weekly Fast Break. We are that type of budget. We can send reporters to games and things like that. So he'll join us ahead of game 4. I don't know if he's going tonight. Have you had confirmation of that? I should have texted him before this show.
Oh, I'm pretty sure he's. I'm pretty sure he's going to be in attendance tonight. Yes.
Oh wow.
I'm almost
nice.
100%.
Okay.
Almost 100% positive.
Okay, good. Last time I checked, it was going to be one of the 2 games. Maybe it'll be both. We'll see. So let's talk about Chet Holmgren. We glossed over it with the index bet for rebound. So I've been on under for him in like 6 straight games. He's gone under 7 straight games under his rebounds prop. Holmgren was 9.5. It's now 8.5. The juice is now moving to the under. He's had more rebounding opportunities, and things have just sort of broke my way or the under's way. I'm walking away from the table, but I'm still kicking myself. Like, should I? So I've been under. I mean, you see the juice. It's now 7.5. Now the over's juice, but it was 9.5 in game 1. And to your point, he's not playing a ton of minutes. He weighs 200 pounds dripping wet. And the Pacers have been better rebounders in this series than we anticipated prior to game 1. So the question is, I mean, there's been some times where he had a rebound in his hands and Lou Dort stole it or something like that. So he could have easily had much more than 6. 7.5 feels a little too low for me to go under. What do you see on this?
Well, listen, this is your baby, and if it's not broke, why fix it? You just gotta ride it until it doesn't happen anymore. I was talking to Jimmy Ott on Friday on his show, and we were saying, hey, all these comebacks, maybe they're not miracles. Maybe it's just a trend, and that's just what the trend is.
Right.
If Chet Holmgren's only getting 6 rebounds every game, and they keep making the over/under 7.5, 8.5, 9.5, or ascending the other way now. I mean, you got to just keep going with it. I mean, I haven't been involved as much as you have, so I don't need to jump in. But I would, if you were still doing it and it hasn't lost yet. I don't know how you could possibly not get on the horse one more time.
Well, the market's corrected, so it's the 7.5 now. So now it's the lowest it's been. And I will say there were several, I think 3 where he had a rebound. I mean, one, he was the only one in the paint. The rebound hit the rim and bounced up and over the backboard. So it was no one got a rebound, but that was his. And then there were 2 or 3 times where he had it and was lunging to it, and some teammates stole it from him and he just didn't care. Now, he got a couple other ones. Like I think his first one was a putback on his own miss. So he missed a bunny and got the rebound putback. I mean, trust me, I was watching this. I can replay every rebound in the game. So that was a cheapie the other way, but he got burnt. He had a bad beat on a few rebounds. And the question is, what's projectionable? Now, from a Pacers standpoint, don't you think they're going to be crashing the glass a little harder given they're the desperate team, or they're at least the team coming off a loss? And they were kind of flat for a lot of the game. So I think some of those, let's call them 50-50 balls, went to the Thunder in game 2. Now, the Pacers didn't roll over and get blown out by 40 like Denver did in game 2 after winning game 1 in OKC. This was a solid, at least, effort out of the Pacers, all things considered. The spot was terrible. So I think the edge of rebounding is actually going to go, towards Indiana at home, more energy off a loss. So maybe this is like the breakdown I've been doing in my head. And that's why I think Holmgren under could still be a good wager, I think.
Are you saying that Chet Holmgren has turned into Rudy Gobert? Is that what you're saying?
No, he's not as good of a rebounder as Gobert. I think he's just a guy hanging around the perimeter, cuts well, dunks, and he's young and thin and he gets pushed around on the blocks, I think.
There was a lot of Butterfingers talk. There's a lot of Butterfingers talk on Chet's hands last game. So I'll tell you one thing. We were talking about
out of bounds at one time.
we were talking about series leaders. We could look into the game. What about Siakam over? I think Siakam's gonna have a big game.
Yeah.
He's gonna have a big game. He's a big. People want more out of him, but I mean, the guy's a finals. He's an NBA champion. He's had huge games. I feel like he's gonna have a big game. I think I'm gonna start getting into the apps a little bit after the show and dig a little deeper into like what rebounds I think he can logically get. I think his rebound prop is like 8.5 over. I really think he could have a big game. Maybe you don't bet him series rebounds plus 130, but maybe you just bet him tonight in the game. If he has a big game, you get a nice win right off the bat. I'm not sure which one's going to have a better game. I'm really expecting a lot out of Siakam and Halliburton. No doubt about it.
That's a good point, and that's a point we've glossed over at times, but it's good to reiterate. If we like some of these guys, the long shots, and we don't quite think they can win or lead the entire series in a certain category, game to game might be a better wager. Now, you're not going to get the same payout. Like we said, Jalen Williams was 50-1 to lead the series in assists. But if one game he could, and I think he tied for the most assists in game 2. So there's a better kind of way to do it. So to your point, maybe Siakam to be the leading rebounder of tonight or something like that, because I do think the market was skewed the wrong way in favor of Holmgren as the minus 121 rebounding favorite going into the series. Now that's no longer the case, obviously, as prop market is adjust. So Siakam combined PR, 27.5. Could be something if you think he's going to feed off the energy and deliver. So any other final plays or final thoughts before we switch to the WNBA?
That is a very juicy looking PR right there. Points and rebounds, 27.5. I mean, I'm telling you, he has it in him. He's done it multiple times with multiple 30-point games, and not 30, 35, 38. He's going to get the boards. And in the crowd, you see this all the time. It's right before the other team's going to call a timeout to stop the run. They're just getting every rebound. The other team is like defeated, and the big guys on the opposing team on the home team are getting every rebound. So that's a pretty juicy PR right there. I'm gonna dig into the apps. I'm on the Pacers. I'm siding props for the Pacers tonight, but that's a good looking one. 27.5. Not even minus 110. Not even minus 110. Hop on.
All right, so only official play for you is Pacers plus 5.5. You don't want to do any of the others, or
you know what?
Glossed over.
I'm okay. I'll endorse the 27.5 points of rebound Siakam. I think that is tremendous value. I think he might have 27 points himself. Might only need
And we're
one.
going to make
Might
sure
only need one rebound.
minus 109.
Might only need one rebound.
Right. No, I do think that's something to keep in mind. If a guy is lined around 20 and a half and then like 7, the points could get you there alone because his ceiling, his upside is like 30. So the rebounds are nice, obviously points, units of 2 and 3, rebounds 1. Like sometimes there are sort of trying to think of the best way. It's like the bang for your buck, if you will. It makes more sense to do the points plus rebounds. There's more margins of win and more ways to win than lose in that. So I think that's a smart angle to do because you said he may not even need the rebounds, but it's a good sort of a plan of attack in that regard. I think that's smart, Chris.
Yeah, I just think, again, I mentioned before, 7 guys in double figures, both games for Indiana. No one's been over 20 points. Someone's scoring 20 points tonight. And I'm betting on it's going to be Siakam. I think he's just going to have a big game. He's going to feed off the crowd. Crowd's going to be, McAfee will be there. Wes Reynolds. Sign me up.
What about Halliburton plus 128 on the 20 plus?
That just scares me a little bit because who knows if he's going to be engaged or not. The guy just he's not the same type of player as Jason Tatum, but sometimes like Jason Tatum just disappears and he doesn't score any points or take any shots for like, a quarter and a half, and you're just wondering what's going on. And then you look and he has like 11 assists. It's like, oh, Tatum had a good game, but it's like
that's what's going on.
The best player needs to be engaged. Like Michael Jordan could have 10 assists, but he's still going to have 36 points in a playoff game. The best player needs to be engaged. They need to feed the other guys need to feed off the best player. But he scares me. So I'm going to, I might, like I said, I'm going to dive deeper into it, probably play some Halliburton stuff, but I like Siakam a little bit more.
Okay. All right. Let's turn the page to the W, and we cleaned up last night. Saw it coming a mile away. I was 2 points off each team's final score in my prediction of the Sky Liberty game. So that was a flex for me. The Dream handled the fever. Albert laid the 5.5. There was a big market move on that and the under too. The under was a rocking chair win, went under by about 30 points. So we cruised there. The Chicago Sky are so bad, and they lost their point guard. So they're a hard fan. I mean, they had a big fourth quarter scoring. They went 5.5 minutes on yesterday in the third quarter without scoring. So it's just a bad situation. So we turned the page. We have 3 games tonight. Sky back at it tomorrow, by the way, or Friday if you want to get involved in their game. But we have 3 games tonight and some interesting storylines. We have a couple big, relatively big spreads, also relatively small spreads. So I think the Aces are interesting because they just got cooked at the Valkyries by 20-something. And this is a team that has championship aspirations, the reigning unanimous MVP, but they don't have any depth that they once had. And their team defense stinks. And the Sparks have been a giant disappointment. Kelsey Plum has been complaining about the officiating. She should, she thinks she should be going to line much more for anybody who scores as much as she does. And I have no official play today. I loved yesterday's card. I got nothing. I think for me, the Aces are laying too many points. Like, I do think they're going to bounce back and play hard, but I think it's also a bounce back for the Sparks. The problem is Sparks can go through stints, huge droughts, and then also give up points at a breakneck speed. So I would look to the over, but the market's tight on all of this. I can't get involved in that game. Anything for you, Chris?
Well, if you just look back, the Sparks and the Aces played the last game on the month of May, and it was pretty much a blowout, 96-81 Vegas. So sometimes in these
went
games,
over.
Yeah, went way over. So but sometimes in these games, and when the way I would think about it, and I would think about this in any sport, when one of the best teams in the league just got absolutely smoked by basically an expansion team, they're going to be coming back, and they're going to be a little bit more mentally prepared, I think, on defense. And I would also think, LA coming out to Vegas after they just got smoked by Vegas at home. Or I'm not sure actually. No, that game was at Vegas. Sorry. But they're going to come back to Vegas after giving them 96 points. You would think there would be some sort of defensive mindset from both of these head coaches and both of these teams. One, you just got smoked by an expansion team, and hey, we just went out to Vegas 2 weeks ago and we got smoked by them giving up 96 points. So maybe that's why, the over is set where it is. You would think that, maybe you lean under. These teams are going to be trying to concentrate a little bit more on the defensive end.
Oh, it's a good point. Becky Hammond, the coach of the Aces, was commenting saying we have a heart problem. So challenging the commitment to the cause of that team, and that starts with defense a lot. And there were the Valkyries. Look, they hit big shots, but they were getting buckets left and right, and the Valkyries did the same against the Sparks. So both these teams just lost to that expansion team in embarrassing fashion. I think the best game is going to be the Lynx at the Storm. Seattle goes through a lot of scoring droughts. The Lynx, like the Liberty, are still undefeated. Seattle's pretty good. It's a tough spot to travel to, Pacific Northwest. Lynx have a very good defense, though. For me, it's Minnesota or pass, but this could be a Storm outright win as well. This is a tricky travel spot. The problem is the Storm, they're a mixed bag with what you're going to get. They do have, like, their ceiling is they can beat anyone in the league, especially at home. They really can. Like, they're so loaded with their starters and they have depth. And Gabby Williams playing full season. She's outstanding in my eyes. But they also go through scoring lulls. And I don't know if it's when Skylar Diggins just isn't that good. I can't figure out the Storm. So I'm always gun shy, but the Lynx are like my favorite team. I rode them all last summer. Do the home underdog, does that catch your eye here, Chris?
No, I would say if you've been riding the Lynx and you're riding Chet Holmgren, there you go. Money line parlay, Lynx with under Chet, 7.5. It removes the juice on the Chet, 7.5. You get a nice plus money. I think you should make that an official play.
Like your stock, so maybe do an alt line, so it's 8.5. You get the minus money on the under, and then you take the Minnesota. Yeah. I think it's a stay away. Again, it's Lynx or pass, but Storm can beat any team. So that's my thing. When it's a mixed bag, you don't know what you're going to get. Like, don't force it. So that's how I roll in that regard. All right, final game, another relatively big spread, but the best game of the night because of the star power, at least. Paige Beckers and Alyssa Thomas both returning for their respective teams. Beckers has been out for 2 games with a concussion and then illness for the 3rd straight game. So she's back, and boy, do they need her. It's a really bad team right now in Dallas. And Phoenix is getting Alyssa Thomas. Should have won the MVP if you asked me in my futures tickets a couple years ago. But this is a big offseason acquisition. They're still without Kalea Copper, but they at least have Sabali and now AT. It's a big number at 6.5. But it's Mercury or pass for me. I think the Wings stink. Like, they're really bad defensively, and I think the Mercury are going to light them up.
How many games has Paige Beckers missed in a row?
3.
I mean, she is a pretty good player.
No, she's great. But the problem is Arike Gumbawale thinks she's God's gift to basketball and shoots so much. I would trade her and build the whole team around Paige and let her run the offense. The problem is Paige is still a rookie, so she's deferring to the Olympian Gumbawale, but her usage and her shooting percentage makes the team so bad. And the team defense is horrendous as well. So the Mercury should be able to name their score. And then the Wings are good at offense at times, but they give up way more than they score because of Gumbawale's taking off-balance shots all the time.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to be involved in this game. I wasn't sure how many games Beckers was on. I know she's just a fantastic player, but yeah, I thought, and I mentioned at the beginning of the season, I thought she had I know the college basketball season ends pretty quick before the WNBA. I just noticed that she kind of bulked up a little bit, I thought, from the end of college, probably just seeing how Caitlin Clark's been treated in the lane. So, hopefully she comes back healthy and, maybe take a peek at this game later tonight.
Okay. All right. So for me, it's Mercury or pass, or maybe Mercury team total over, things like that. I think they're going to be able to name their score on offense because they're kind of hitting their groove as well. And Alyssa Thomas is just, facilitates on offense. All right. So that's going to do it for this show. Official plays for Chris. We got him at Pacers plus 5.5 and Siakam over 27.5 points plus rebounds minus 109 as well. And I gave out the Hartenstein under for points earlier in the week. I was looking at Dort. I didn't mention him, but PRA under as well. I think this is a kind of like the unknown of this game makes it such an intriguing watch and a little tough on the props, but we'll see how it all plays out, especially that Holmgren prop as well. And, don't forget, get involved with all of our shows here on the Bet Rivers Network and Betting Weekly umbrella. We are Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. And we also have Betting Weekly Hardball. Chris has been on that show as well. That is 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. It's all under the Bet Rivers Network and Betting Weekly umbrella. A lot of good content out there. Good luck to everyone tonight. Should be a great one. This is what we want with the Tide series. Great home atmosphere, short road favorite. Should be an awesome, awesome watch. So for Chris Macero and everyone else behind the scenes that makes us look good, and the graphics, producing, directing, all the people doing the heavy lifting, I'm Doug Kezirian. Good luck tonight, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.